Welcome to Donors Week, which is about what I've been up to for the past 7 days, the people I've interacted with, the places I've been to, the things I've done and not done, and the thoughts I've had.
Oh, thank God it's Friday. Welcome to a special edition of Donors Week. Special because Wednesday was the second anniversary of my dear mother's death. And special because I received a visit from Harold Monu, an old friend who dropped in to see me in Abuja. So, Harold, introduce yourself.
Good morning, folks. I am Harold Monu. I'm an old-time friend of Donna's. I've been working as a relocation specialist, and I think she runs around calling me an international hybrid. Very excited to be here. Thank you for watching.
Okay, well, the thing that really strikes me about you is that you're based in New York.
Yes, I am.
Though, of course, you come here quite a bit. And you've decided that you want to move back to Nigeria. And I think, well, how crazy is that at a time when so many Nigerians want to move to North America, which of course includes Canada? Why? What's wrong with you? Can't you see that we're suffering?
Well, suffering is relative, Donna. I tell you. And for me, I can only tell you what I feel I lost. And it's just the relationships, the sense of community. I miss my family. Don't I miss you?
Well, I'm one of the Nigerians who's trying to think of ways to get back to civilization. So, much as I love you, maybe if you succeed in coming back to Nigeria this year or next year, I'll be on my way out.
Yes.
Because I've had enough. I've had enough of bad governance. I've had enough of lousy infrastructure. I've had enough of corruption. I've had enough of power cuts. There's so many things about Nigeria that drive me nuts. When I think about what a great country this could be, it's so painful to watch it sort of like wallowing in dysfunction and poverty. Because, of course, there are Nigerians are famous for their flamboyant habits internationally. If you see a black person making noise in some foreign city, it's probably a Nigerian showing off his Louis Vuitton briefcase and his Rolex watch. But that's not real wealth. No, it's not real wealth. If half the children in the country can't make it to school or can't have 3 square meals a day, your wealth is meaningless.
Yes.
So of course, there's poverty in America as
yes.
well. I was there last year and I saw homeless people sleeping on the streets in some parts of San Diego and Los Angeles and New York.
Of course, you see it the most.
But it's not on the same scale. And so I want to know whether you can cope with coming back to a place where the government doesn't really take care of anyone properly.
Yeah, and you're right. These are definitely things to consider. But I think having been born in Nigeria, I know that we have no welfare system. So I do take for granted that we're lacking in social services. But then I think of where I could have a greater impact. I think of you and your life and how through your work, you've been able to be a positive light in a place that was so dark as Nigeria.
A beacon of light? I don't think so.
No, but sincerely, I think of how to use my experience to greater good. I've spent 2 decades in Europe. I've spent 2 decades now in America. And I see with my relocation business, loads of Nigerians or people moving into the diaspora, but not being equipped to be successful there.
When you talk about relocation business, what do you mean? You mean helping people move back to Nigeria or helping Nigerians move out?
Yes. For over a decade now, my business has been focused on moving Nigerians out.
Right.
And since COVID, we expanded our business to North America. But I can tell you that a lot of the Nigerians who move abroad are not prepared for life abroad. And I think that's where I could come in and be a greater impact, be a resource in preparing people for the mindset, in preparing people for the cultural differences.
So you're not really coming home to enjoy Nigeria, you're coming home to ship people out. I see.
Look at you. Well, I'll tell you this. I do think that, when you come to terms with the way things are in Nigeria, you know that, Yes, relocation is important. I think it's a valuable thing to do. Do I think everyone needs to Japa? Not at all.
Japa means, for Patricia Wask and some of my foreign viewers, Japa means to sort of flee the scene.
Yes.
You're basically an economic migrant.
Yes. And I don't think that that's necessary. Do I think it's important to maybe go and get special training? Do I think there are medical reasons to go abroad? There are justifiable reasons for why you need to leave Nigeria to improve yourself and make a greater contribution.
Now, I would agree with you. After all, in every country, there are people who don't live where they come from. There are foreigners in Nigeria, Lebanese, French, British, American, Chinese. But don't you think that the percentages matter, and that only a very small percentage of foreigners are living here, whereas a large percentage of Nigerians, especially the skilled ones like doctors, are trying to get out? Well, I mean, that's actually what they call the brain drain.
Yes, it is.
And it is,
yes,
a huge injury
to
the society and the economy. And I'd say that one of the disadvantages, too, of this constant outflow of people is that families are fractured.
Yes.
You have a situation where almost every family in this country has a member that they may never see again.
Yes. Yes.
Because, of course, once they go, they may never come back. They may never get good enough jobs there to afford to come home regularly.
That's right.
Or they left under such traumatic circumstances, they don't even want to try.
Very true.
And visit on holiday or for any reason.
Yes.
So what say you about that?
Well, I mean, it's all an individual, situation, it's case by case. Yes, definitely. If you feel your country has done you wrong or you've been victim of an injustice and you want to go away and start afresh, that's a valid reason.
Okay, but I still want to nail down your own motivation, because you're coming home to help people leave.
Yes, I believe there's value in that. I believe that people don't need
to. No, but are you coming home because you want to be here?
Definitely.
Okay, so let's forget about all the people who don't want to be here. That's your business. That's what you get paid for.
Yes.
What do you think you personally will gain from being here?
Oh, wow. I left when I was 7 years old. And I've lived the greater part of my life abroad, and so coming home, I would like to be further inducted in the Asaba world of Nigeria, or, my community. And I think it would be an enriching experience for me personally. I've been drenched in European culture. I've studied thoroughly the American culture. Wouldn't it be great to know a little bit about where I'm from, or a lot about where I'm from?
I guarantee that you won't last 2 years. A lot of people, because that's kind of airy-fairy. Oh, I want to know my community.
Yes.
That leads to disappointment and misery. So many people come here to drive, and they can't cope with the practicalities. Because another thing I've noticed about Nigeria is it makes no attempt to create soft landings for people who want to repatriate.
Very true.
And often they come with useful international skills.
Yes.
And the Nigerian government and
stifles
them, makes them. I've had a terrible time since I moved here.
And it is true, but then again, we have to work with what we know. I believe wisdom is using knowledge, applying it. And we know that the Nigerian government has failed us. And so, the people I know that have moved back, to do things, say for the Nigerian government, and have gone back disappointed, I always look at why? Why did you even bother? There's a greater market here outside of government. There are millions of people that need to be touched. And if you can reach them without going through government channels, you're even more valuable, in my opinion.
I wish you luck. So, it all sounds very,
Yes.
Very, well, idealistic. I hope it works for you.
Thank you.
And I have to say, the nickname we have for each other is House of Shame.
Oh, yes.
Because, I won't tell you exactly why.
Yes, we won't.
We used to have such a ball when we were younger, and he was staying with me. He's like a younger brother to me. And because we're both eccentric in a foreign way, we used to sort of horrify the people around,
Yes,
around us
very much
with
so.
some of our antics.
Yes.
So I'm wishing you the best, Harold. You're actually going back to America tomorrow.
Yes, I am. Back to New York.
Now this is really to annoy Patricia and some
lovely.
of my viewers.
Come on.
Are you tired of America because of Trump, who is such a terrible human being?
Oh, wow. What can I say? This is a very interesting time in America, definitely. And things are being, what would we call it? Like, it's electrifying.
Well, it's very anti-immigrant. Do you feel unwanted, or is there a lot of hype around this anti-immigration thing that is overstated?
I can't go as far as say I feel unwanted, because I do think that the immigrants that are under attack are definitely a different breed. But yes, immigration and racial relations in America is a very sensitive time right now. I don't think it's ever been this intense. So yes, I can't walk away and not be as transparent to say that yes, things are interesting for an immigrant in America today, which goes back to the reason why I would come back here. So the Nigerians understand the steps one would need to take to be successful, because you can be established in Nigeria and give that up to go back there. And like you say, be undervalued, underpaid.
Well, hey, you can stay home and be undervalued and underpaid, or you can go to America and be undervalued and underpaid. Except that in America or any Western country, I would say you probably have a greater chance of getting the kind of income and opportunities you deserve. Well, having said this, I think there's a lot to be gained from people moving around and exposing themselves to different parts of the world. I think all Black people in the diaspora who have never been to Africa before should visit, especially the most successful or larger countries, to see what it's like to be in a place where Black people are in charge, despite the glitches and the mistakes, and the failures. It's quite good for them psychologically to know that there are countries where Black people are not a minority. Just as it's good too for as many Africans as possible to visit the Western world on holiday or to study or whatever. Exposure is good. Don't you think so?
100%.
Okay, so now for the section called Food for Thought, in which I pick on a topic that I find thought-provoking and useful for those of us who want to learn something about life. I don't have much to say this week, except that it's been 2 years since my mother left. She died in my home in Abuja. She lived with me for a few years before she passed away. And towards the end, she needed round-the-clock nursing care. So it was very traumatic to watch this once vibrant woman fade away in what she would have regarded as a very undignified way. Having to be taken to the bathroom, having to be bathed, she'd have hated it. But I don't think she really knew that was what was happening to her. So sometimes I'd see a flicker in her eyes or an expression on her face which indicated that she did have moments of lucidity when she realized that, it was almost over and that everything she had stood for had been replaced by this very, very debilitating and humiliating disease called dementia. So I said I didn't have much to say, but actually I've said a lot already. And I suppose the food for thought is grab relationships with your loved ones while you can. You never know the day things will suddenly flip and they won't be with you anymore, either physically or mentally. Towards the end of her life, my mother did not recognize me, which was very painful. And so those of you who still have your mothers and your fathers, don't take them for granted. And ask them about their own lives let it not always be about you or the modern era, because that's something we didn't do enough of with my parents. They lived through so many interesting times. And I wish, especially being a journalist and a writer and a broadcaster, I wish I'd sat down with a tape recorder and asked them to tape their memories of, for example, my mother did once tell us that she took part in events called Empire Day before Nigeria gained independence from Britain. They were alive during the colonial era. Some of them even fought for the empire during the Second World War. And they've lived through so much. They lived through the independence struggle where we cast off the shackles of our colonial oppressor, which was, of course, the United Kingdom. They've lived through so many momentous events on this continent, and they've known and met a lot of interesting people. So even if your parents have not lived in dramatic times, let's say you're living a quiet life in Minnesota or wherever, they still have a lot of interesting things to teach us about what they have been through. And most important of all is you still have a lot to gain from their love. So don't neglect them. Don't think, oh, I'll go and see them next week, next month, next year, because by next year they might have slipped away in one way or another. So that's all I want to say this week. Thank you.